Welcome to the latest episode of On the Desk of Brian, an easygoing podcast where I explore a mix of my professional and personal interests. On today's episode, I will discuss the importance of AI policies for schools, externalities of buying American, the NBA draft, major upgrades to Chase Field, cognitive habits of productive people, new seasons of some highly anticipated shows, and much more. Our first area is in education. I found an article recently in Forbes titled "The AI Education Gap: Why Schools Need AI Policies Now" by Sarah Hernholm. In her article, Sarah states, survey data from the RAND American Educator panels indicate that only 25% of teachers have integrated AI into their instruction, while 35% stated that their school has established guidelines for AI use, and 27% reported that their school has no AI rules in place. With those statistics in mind, there is a large disparity of which teachers are using it, how, and guidelines and rules for student use of the technology. Schools are coming into contact with AI technologies at an increasing level and are naturally interacting with it without proper training. Like any new skill, scaffolding techniques ought to be used in order for students to harness understanding. They should learn things such as prompt engineering, recognizing bias, and ensuring that they are not plagiarizing others' work, but are rather giving credit when it's needed. The article continues, noting the importance for proper professional development to take place, not only in proper learning about policies, procedures, and uses of AI, but also updates as the technology continues to evolve. When using the technology with students, it's also important that teachers ensure that when AI technology is used by students, it's helping to teach skills rather than hinder their progress. Moving on into economics, another article that's on my desk is from the Foundation for Economic Education, otherwise known as FEE. Author Zoltan Kay's article, "Economic Nationalism Means Empty Wallets," notes some of the negative externalities exist with the Buy American slogan and stresses that encouragement of domestic production is something that has existed for the last couple presidential administrations in the U.S. While the Made in the USA movement may bring back jobs to the U.S., it is important to note that some of these jobs were previously in the U.S. and moved overseas for one reason or another. Zoltan cites a Cato Institute study noting that consumers may be impacted with higher prices due to a typical higher wage for employees in the U.S. In addition, Zoltan also mentioned Made in the USA is having more of a negative connotation overseas, which is threatening international sales. On the topic of international, other nations around the globe have attempted to encourage its consumers to buy more products created domestically and have some results that could be seen as foreshadowing if the U.S. movement takes as far as they did. For example, in France, there was a merger of a French car company, Renault, and a Japanese car company, Nissan, but it was blocked, in part to what the author calls nationalism-tinged state intervention. There is also a movement to eat more domestically grown and raised food, which has resulted in higher food prices, and it limits the availability of variety. From my lens, the author does make some valid points, but like in many aspects of our lives, it isn't an all-or-nothing decision. There are plenty of important reasons to support domestic industries. First, there are aspects related to national security. Not being reliant on foreign nations for certain industries for supplies related to the safety and security of the American people is important. Some examples of this may include steel and pharmaceuticals. Secondly, infant industries need to be protected so that they can compete in the longer term. This can be done with combinations of tariff and government subsidies. Another consideration to support domestic industries comes looking in the rearview mirror at other industries that have been hollowed out in a short period of time thanks to offshoring. In areas that have lost major manufacturing to foreign nations, there may be an initial large amounts of unemployment, which then have other societal ills that creep into those communities, such as higher rates of depression, chemical addictions, crime, and a depression in the real estate market. Personally, I'm hopeful that we have politicians that have both the short and long-term pluses and minuses involved with government intervention supporting domestic production. Moving into sports, we'll start off with the Phoenix Suns and the NBA. Many analysts gave the Phoenix Suns positive grades from this year's NBA draft. Of course, time will tell how some of their picks perform. That said, I wanted to dive into some of the picks and trades that have gone on since the Kevin Durant trade that took place on Sunday, June 22nd. In the first round, the Suns selected Kaman Malawach with the number 10 pick. He's a center out of Duke, and almost simultaneously when selecting him, also traded for Mark Williams out of Charlotte. While Mark Williams was sought after last season by the Lakers, that trade was dismantled after Williams failed a physical. I'm hoping that Williams can be a good asset for the Suns as Malawach develops. In the second round, with the 31st overall pick, the Suns chose Rasheer Fleming, a forward out of St. Joseph's. Some analysts had Fleming going in the first round and should be a solid power forward for the Suns. Later in the second round, the Suns selected Kobe Brea from Kentucky with the 41st pick. Brea is a guard, a position that the Suns currently have a slew of, but he's a great shooter, and time will tell on how many guards might be available after the dust clears on free agency in the coming weeks, especially in regards to what the Suns may do with Bradley Beal. Moving on to another story from the NBA draft, Sports Illustrated Andy Nesbitt had an article called ESPN's Scott Pelt Ripped NBA Over Its Ridiculous Hat Problem at the Draft. In the article, Nesbitt noted that ESPN's Scott Van Pelt's reaction to something that happens every year in the NBA draft. The plethora of NBA drafted players wearing a hat of a team that they will not be part of. There are a ton of trades that happen on draft night, and because the trades are not officially approved by the NBA yet, the original owner of that draft pick is the hat that the player will wear. Pelt is noted as saying, I'm going to scream about the hat situation. The league's too smart to have the moment that they've been waiting for their whole life to be a picture in the wrong hat. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know why they can't fix it. Many NBA fans are also pushing for this change to happen. So here's hoping it does in time for the 2026 draft. Moving on over to Dbacks and baseball news. The Arizona Diamondbacks are still hovering around 500 since the last show, and for the first time in franchise history, were swept by the Miami/Florida Marlins at home. So statistically, they're still in it to earn a playoff spot, but they continue to battle the injuries that just really aren't going away. Another big story that happened recently for the D-backs is that the governor of Arizona signed into law legislation that will bring $1.2 billion in for major upgrades at Chase Field. That's where the Diamondbacks play. Craig Harris from 12 News, a local station in the Phoenix area, reported that the money will initially fund various infrastructure things such as AC replacement, as well as a new video board and cracks that can be found in the concourse. However, Derek Hall, the CEO of the ball club, said that other improvements will show up in a couple more years, including new seating options. We're also looking at retail shops, restaurants, a hotel, and some office space. There are plans to reduce the amount of seating at the stadium, but Hall is committed to ensuring that affordable options are still available to fans, including the summer pass and student pass. Hall also made sure to stress that the Chase Field is owned by Maricopa County, the county where the ballpark is, and that these improvements are not going to the billionaire owner Ken Kendrick, and that it is the landlord, Maricopa County, that will reap the benefits. Moving into football and Packer news for me, we're still in the offseason, and there really isn't a lot of action happening in the NFL at the moment, but I wanted to share a resource that I really enjoy as a Packers fan, and that's the Insider Inbox. It's a resource that I really wish more teams had for their fans. It's a mailbag-style column where fans submit questions about the Green Bay Packers, but also questions about NFL rules, and in the off-season, a lot of questions that can be really off-topic, but at the same time, a lot of fun to read. And now it's time for Not a Sponsor. Our not a sponsor is Freedom Flakes, America's most patriotic cereal. The only breakfast cereal proudly made in the USA, even if it means your wallet quietly sobs every time you scan it at the register. Freedom Flakes are made with 100% domestic corn, 200% national pride, and zero concern for what the global supply chain used to cost. Why? Because who needs affordable options when you've got a flag on the box and a $7 bag of granola that just feels American? And sure, we could have sourced the packaging overseas and cut prices in half, but then it wouldn't pair as nicely with lukewarm lectures on sovereignty over your $5 coffee from beans that still come from... not here. At Freedom Flakes, we believe in supporting domestic jobs, even if it means 3 factories, 4 tariffs, and your cereal taking a trip longer than your last vacation. Plus, every box comes with a collector's edition made in the USA sticker that you can place over any imported item in your house. Freedom Flakes. They're not tastier, they're not cheaper, but by golly, they're made in the US of A. Still not a sponsor, but if they were, they'd probably demand it be a US only exclusive with a $30 markup. Thank you to ChatGPT for today's Not a Sponsor segment. Okay, moving into technology updates. For years, I've heard so many great things about the SetApp product from MacPaw. So for those unaware, SetApp is a subscription service that gives you access to a collection of hundreds of apps for your Mac. And more recently, there are tiers that give you access to some iOS apps too. I went ahead and set up an account and completed the 7-day free trial, after which I went ahead and signed up for a yearly subscription that comes out to about $9 a month. It saves me about $1 a month had I gone with the monthly rate. So I wanted to highlight a few apps that I started recently using and really enjoyed and find some value in. The first one is Clean My Mac. Second is Paste, and the third one is KeyQ. First of all, Clean My Mac. It's an amazing utility. It has a lot of functionality. When you run it, it scans your computer for the CRUF and allows you to reclaim space, sometimes gigabytes worth of space. It also allows you to scan for malware and remove threats. And a third feature I like using it for is an application manager. It allows you to completely uninstall some apps that you're not using, and then does have an app updater, so it helps you to keep your software current and secure. The second app that I've been using, I wanted to share about, is Paste. I've really been finding some benefit from it. It's a clipboard manager, and it stores everything you copy, including text and links, images, and more. The current built-in offering only allows you to retrieve the most current copied item. In addition, the software has a great visual, kind of like a card style system. It's really easy to look back at earlier copied items so you can use them later. KeyQ is that third app I was talking about. I only started using it about a week ago. In its most basic form, it's an amazing reference guide to the keyboard shortcuts that are available for you to use in your apps and on the Mac. Another function that I haven't really dove into yet is the ability to create your own custom keyboard commands, which I really think will be helpful to being more efficient at getting some tasks done. So periodically, I'll share some additional apps that I've been using from SetApp, or even some other apps that I've been using. But if you're thinking about SetApp, check out that 7-day free trial. And if you do decide to subscribe, in the show notes, I'll have a referral link. It gets you a free month and me a free month. And again, I'll have that in the show notes. Moving into our segment on productivity, Chris Weller and David Rock are the authors of the article 3 Cognitive Habits of People Who Get Things Done, and I found this article on Fast Company. In the article, the authors explain the 3 habits through the lens of a fictional star employee, Jennifer, who aces any task she's given. The article stresses that this fictional star employee may be naturally gifted, but they also have skills that they must hone in on and attend to in something that the authors call proactive accountability. The first cognitive habit of high achievers is to sync expectations. This means that the employee ensures that they have a clear expectation of the task they are supposed to complete. They proactively work to clarify tasks and ensure that misunderstandings are eliminated early in the project. Beyond the task itself, having synced expectations builds something called neural synchrony that builds not only understanding about the task but also trust. The second cognitive habit of high achievers is to drive with purpose. Employees who build on this skill connects the task they're given with something intrinsic. They also constantly are reflective about being deliberate, thorough, and aware of any cognitive bias that they may possess that would otherwise hinder their judgment. When an employee makes their work more meaningful, they are better able to summon energy to keep pushing towards their goals. And lastly, the third habit of high achievers is to own the impact. After the project is completed, those who own the impact reflect on the results and take appropriate responsibility whether the project was a success or a failure. They also aren't focused on assigning blame, but rather devising solutions and opportunities for growth. Along with those same lines, people who own the impact employ a growth mindset, and they welcome feedback and data from outcomes to improve future performance. So again, just some good points there from Weller and Rock. These are definitely some habits that you'll be very easy to implement to help with our productivity. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and move into our entertainment portion of today's show. First up is some streaming. Malcolm McMillan posted an article on Tom's Guide, and it's called Paramount Plus with Showtime is Dead, Meet Paramount Plus Premium. So in late June, Paramount's streaming service had another branding change, and we've seen this with other brands recently too. For them, this is the streaming plan that was previously called Paramount Plus with Showtime, and it's now going to be called Paramount Plus Premium. So with this rebranding, there's currently no change in price. And there's also no change in content. This particular tier is $12.99 per month, or about $120 per year. So with this premium plan, you get ad-free streaming, and obviously, you're going to have ads on live TV, which is another aspect of it. You get full access to Showtime originals and movies. You get to download select titles, and you get live CBS, NFL football games, and the UEFA Champions League for soccer. In addition, those who are on the Essential plan are now going to have some access to some limited Showtime titles. So that's what's going on in streaming with them. Sticking with Paramount Plus, I'm excited for a welcomed show that I love watching. It comes back on July 17th, and that's Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3. An article posted on Paramount Plus's own website has a load of information on the upcoming season. The article highlights all the actors returning for the season, but also notes some guest stars, including Cillian O'Sullivan, Patton Oswalt, and someone returning for more guest appearances, Carol Kane. Further, the article notes that there are 10 episodes as part of this third season, and the article notes that Season 4 has also been approved, but we don't have a release date for that as of yet. In my opinion, these new Star Trek shows are definitely a mixed bag of quality, but for the most part, I've really enjoyed the first 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds, and I'm looking forward to this new season. Another series getting a third season is debuting Foundation on Apple TV+. Grace Leader wrote an article called Foundation Returns for Season 3 this summer, Everything to Know, and it was published on Parade. Grace writes that the show returns on July 11th for 10 new episodes, where the story will focus on the waning power of the Cleonic dynasty's empire and the established Foundation. This season also features a new threat from a warlord called the Mule, who has a desire to dominate the galaxy. Timeline-wise, this season takes place 152 years since we had last finished Season 2. If you haven't watched Season 1 and 2, I definitely recommend it. I would think to understand what's going to happen there in Season 3. One show that debuted a new season in late June was season 4 of The Bear on Hulu, and I just finished watching season 4, and the show picked up where it left off in season 3. Continues to do a great job of building character and through the setting of a high-end restaurant in Chicago. As with the previous seasons, it introduces conflicts, both internal and external, with characters that they're not resolved quickly, and their decisions that really do have some long-term consequences that impacts many on the show. This is definitely one of the best shows on television right now, and I'd be surprised if they weren't nominated with many Emmy nominations for this season. Next up, talking a little bit about some entertainment in the areas of Xbox and video games. Some recent news I'm saddened to speak about is Microsoft continued with some layoffs. Wesley Yin-Poole noted in his IGN article, Microsoft makes significant layoffs across the gaming division. Xbox boss Phil Spencer confirms in a memo to staff. In that article, he noted that layoffs were about 9,100 employees, which is about 4% of Microsoft's workforce. And this is definitely not the first wave of layoffs for Microsoft in recent history. They had about 1,900 in January of 2024, another 650 in September of 24, and 6,000 in May of 2025. And I apologize if I mispronounce their name here. Pluchetti Arigeth from NeoWin added more details about layoffs from Microsoft. In their article, Microsoft cancels at least 3 Xbox games, guts Forza Studio, and shuts down another. Here in their article, it included the shuttering of the first-party studio, The Initiative. They were producing the reboot of Perfect Dark. In addition, the new Rare-developed project Everwild has been canceled. There was an unannounced MMORPG project from ZeniMax Online. It was codenamed Blackbird, and that game is no longer going to come out. That's the studio that produces Elder Scrolls Online. In addition, Turn 10 Studios, they're the company that makes the Forza Motorsport games, and then they partner with Playground Games for the Forza Horizon series. They had some major layoffs as well. Microsoft has encouraged all those who are laid off to apply for other positions in the company, but that many layoffs will definitely be tough in the $1 trillion company to absorb. I'm really hoping that everyone impacted is able to land on their feet. So that wraps up another episode of On the Desk of Brian. If you liked what you heard today, please be sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Please also visit my website, brian8944.com, so you can keep up with all my ongoing and upcoming projects. You can also contact me there with any feedback you might have. So until next time, so long for now.